So, hello everyone, and welcome to AK Academy. This is basically the first live session. I think we have done one early in this year, but like I'm still new for this stuff. I'm not that familiar with those live sessions, so this is why there's like just a little bit confused that happened with the video URL maybe. But yeah, we will get ready for this, because basically starting from this moment, I think every week there's going to be such a live sessions, and I will start with the concept of live courses, so you can ask questions and you can follow live with me. So I think thank you so much for this watching. I think AK Academy started about just last year, exactly on this time. It started about December, 2nd of December. So right now we are just 1 year. Thank you so much for all that cool support and your nice comments and feedback that I have received through the comments of the videos or through the email, social media, and all this stuff. I'm really happy to see that you are just getting that benefits from this perspective. So this is cool. Now we have this course is going to be such an upgrade for the Planner app. The Planner app was just concentrated on the topic of Blazor WebAssembly. It was new. It was in the preview edition. So this is why I've just ignored the server side. I have just concentrated only on the client side. For that time, it was perfect, but 9 months has passed, and that's a very long period, basically, especially in the world of .NET. A lot of new things happen. Blazor right now in the production, and there's a lot of cool projects right now that people started, and it's being used basically in some cool apps. I have already myself been used it in multiple places for apps in the production. So this is why I've decided to make this course. And another thing that I have received a lot of comment that, what about the server side of that app, from the authentication, the rule-based authentication, authorization as well, and how the API is built to support multiple users at the same time, multiple accounts, how to upload files, install files, all this stuff, how to create the database, implement the connection string. So basically, this course called .NET Labs, it's going to be just a simple app, just like the Planner app, but like a little different idea, which is basically there is an admin and there is a set of users. The admin are able to upload videos, and the users can get into that platform and show those videos, and then they can add their comments and replies and all this stuff. So basically, when the videos are going to be, we are not going to upload the videos. Maybe we are just going to upload the thumbnail, and then the videos are going to be embedded from YouTube, such an iframe that is going to be set in the UI. So the videos are going to be from YouTube, but there's going to be some cool stuff around there. We'll cover a lot of cool topics. Everything will going to be built on top of .NET 5, ASP.NET Core, MVC, latest version, API, and Blazor WebAssembly with .NET 5. A lot of cool concepts there's going to be out there. For the client side, we will use the Microsoft Fluent UI, like components to build a UI that looks very similar to the Microsoft Office app, or all the apps that Microsoft using basically online, like the Microsoft 365 or Azure, or all this stuff. There is some cool contributions from the community around the globe for this framework. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting course. I will cover some stuff. So now basically this is the first video, and from the title said, like, it's the part 1 of the API. We will start initializing the project, have the database, have the authentication system worked, and we will test everything using Postman. Then in the next video, we'll complete what will left after this, what will leave after this session. And then after that, we will just basically go ahead and start with the Blazor application, I think, next week. So it's going to be in a short period. You are not going to wait for any new videos to come up. Another thing before we get started, which is I have received a lot of questions about Tickets Basket. Like, is it done? Basically, no. It's still, I'm just recording videos, but I was very busy at the past 2 months, and this is why I didn't upload that much of videos. But I think starting from this period, there's going to be many videos, and I think I will be done from the server side before the new year begins, and then with the new year, we can directly from the first month and end the client-side part. And in this case, it's going to be just done, because from the next year, we'll start a series of live courses and mini courses like Tickets Basket and Planner app. It's going to be more complicated stuff and another cool features that's going to happen. So thank you so much for watching, and really sorry for the confusion that happened within the video URLs. And here we have a set of comments from Muhammad Khulani. Hi, are we live this time? Yeah, we are live this time. And Yvonne, hello, dear. And we have Sami Abdullah. Wow, awesome. Mr. Ahmad, missed you on YouTube. Yeah, thank you everyone. So I think right now we can start it, and after we will done from its session, I will divide the videos and then re-upload them again, so you can watch them on demand as a one video from the live session, or the edited video that's going to be available individually like any other course. So right now, before we get started, let's first talk a little bit about the project and how it's going to be. So first, I will open up a project called Visual Paradigm. I am from the big fans of this from this application, and this app basically allows you to draw a huge set of diagrams for the database, for your cloud infrastructure, for UML apps. And basically, I just use this tool to make some like ERD stuff, design the database ERD. So let's start by talking a little bit about the project and design the ERD, and then let's create the project and let's get started with that within Visual Studio. Okay, this is cool. For Visual Paradigm, there is two versions: the commercial version and the community version. The community is 100% free. I'm using it this time, and as I've said, like there is a huge bunch of diagrams available out there. I am the one that I want to go with is ERD, but let's first click on new here, and then you will find a lot of cool stuff. I will call it .NET Labs, and the type is UML. Let's okay, and then create a blank project. Okay. So here also, if you right now I'm in a project called .NET Labs, and if you click plus or on this new UML, we have a set of the UML diagrams, like the one for the sequence diagram to talk about how the system interact with each other. Then we have the activity diagram, can talk about the workflow. You have like a lot of stuff, but before I proceed with this, let me create a new RD here, and then I will choose blank. Okay, I will leave the name as it is. Okay, cool. So here we can just draw the ARD. This one is like a little bit advanced. So just to talk about the idea of the project quickly, what I'm gonna do is use this cool app called Draw.io. It's also a very popular app and allows you to draw also fantastic diagrams. But I usually just use this app to talk about things like just quickly draw some circles and this stuff to make the idea clear. So the idea of the project, there's going to be basically two actors in the project. There's going to be the user, and there's going to be the admin. Basically, the admin is going to be the owner of the content. So he's the one that's going to add some cool stuff. So here there's going to be the, let's say, the application is going to be here. So the admin will be able to like add some content to the app, add content, videos, or we can say manage videos here. We'll have the concept of playlists, so the admin can add set of videos into one playlist, and then the user can see this. He can edit all the videos, and just like this, Sorry for that, just like a quick description. And now from the user perspective, what the user is able to do is just basically, this is the UI of the app. It's going to be the same application, but there's going to be some rule-based authentication. So when the user gets into the system, he won't be able to see the edit button or add or manage or like this stuff. He's just able to see the videos. And what the video within each video is able, like the video is going to be here, embedded from YouTube, and then just a set of comments after that video with a set of replies is going to be available. So let's say, in other words, that the user will be able to just read the videos and write comments, while the admin can read, write videos, read, write playlists, and read, write comments as well. So this is the full concept of the app. So what are the topics that's going to be covered? Let's say, as I've said, authentication, authorization using rule-based authentication. And another thing that we will go ahead with, there's going to be upload files for the thumbnails and this stuff. We will use the Fluent UI for the client side. Also from the server side, we will manage the localization, especially with the time zones. Like you have a user from all over the globe, one in the United States, one in Europe, in Germany, for example, and someone like in the Middle East, like in my cases, Beirut. So there is a different time zone. So imagine like the admin is existing in Germany, and let's say that I'll simulate this here. So admin posts a video at 5 p.m. in the time zone of Germany. So basically, in this case, in the United States, the user in the United States, they should see that this 5 p.m. should be, for example, let's say it is 1, or I think it is 11 a.m. based on the central, east, or west of the United States. But in this case, when the admin uploaded the video at 5 p.m. in that time, so this means the United States, the people in the United States, let's say in the east coast of the United States, they should the time as 11 or 12 p.m. They cannot see it like in 5 p.m. But this means that, oh, this video has been published in the future of the United States. So this is not a good thing. So we have to manage this, to manage the user time zones. When the admin published the video in 5 p.m., 5 p.m. from Germany time, it's going to be 11 p.m. in the east of the US. And it's going to be, for example, here my time is going to be 6 p.m. So this one also should be managed as well in the application. So yeah, I will try to cover all the concepts that will help you to go ahead and develop a set of business apps. So this is the basic idea of that. Now, let's just, before we proceed with the ARD, let's see what we have set of comments. And okay, is it a free app? Yeah, all the apps you have here is free and totally free. There is like from the Visual Studio, this is the community edition, it's totally free. Visual Paradigm is also free. You can go with the community edition, as you can see here. So as I've said, like it's not for commercial use, it's for the community, individual. So yeah, it's free. And the draw.io is also free. So you can go with the one that you prefer. I will share the link of all those apps in the description box below. So now let's go ahead and get started with this. We should create the ARD and how the tables and the relationship is going to be between them. So, but there is a question. Like I got some feedback from set of people that we shouldn't go with Azure all the time. Like it's not suitable for all the apps. And this is why like some people were complaining about Tickets Basket, like why it's tied on Azure, from the authentication to the storage to the upcoming features like Azure Functions and this stuff. Yeah, you are right. This is why I within this course I will go with like purely ASP.NET. Nothing will be tied on Azure, just because not all the people can afford this, and it's not. Sometimes individuals with small apps cannot go with Azure because for some like cost or something like this. But day after day, all the words will move to the cloud. But even though like there is going to be still some things that's going to be developed on your own. So, and this course will go in this approach. Where the authentication system, we will build it ourselves using the JSON Web Tokens authentication and such stuff. So yeah, let's get started. Now, first here we will have a table. I'll call it ASP.NET users. Let me zoom the screen a little bit. So basically, this table, you are not going to create it because it already exists when we use the Microsoft ASP.NET Core identity. You will inherit from the identity DB context in the entity framework, and you will see like there is a 6 or 7 tables available out there that are related to the user, to the claims, to the roles, and to the mapping between those users and roles. So this is why those tables are existing out there. What you are going to do, you'll just like extend them a little bit and add some properties. And those properties going to be like, you can add a new column here. So I will call this one first name, and it's going to be varchar. For example, we'll have the last name, and it is varchar as well. So this one is not a primary key. So yeah, in this case, we have like the first name and the last name. I'll add the ID just to the mapping for other tables. Just like this. So this one is the primary key. So this table is going to be created, as I've said, with a set of tables. We will see after we create the database. But for now, let's just put this table here and to see the relationship. Now, another thing is going to be available, which is a small table that's going to be called playlist. So the playlist is just a logical container for a set of videos. Like there is 100 videos. Those 100 videos are going to be divided into 10 topics. Like those 10 videos are for web design. Those 10 videos are for space industry. I don't know. So you can just map those and put them within a playlist, just like YouTube. So what we'll do is add this property here. For the primary key, you can use it integer auto increment, but I don't prefer that approach. I usually would like to go with the global unique identifier, which is basically just GeoID, known as GeoID. So the playlist will have the ID, will have a name, and have a description. And the description, sorry, the description is going to be varchar, but about 5,000 keyword or 5,000 character. So yeah, this is cool. Now here you'll have a property. It's going to be called the creation date. It will be of type datetime and modified or modification date. Okay, why it's not taking date time? Okay, anyway, let's leave it date here. So this is cool. And here it will have that created by user ID. And here it will have the user who created this playlist, just to know like, who has done this operation. And varchar 40. Okay, and you'll have as well modified by user ID, varchar 40, just like this. So this is how it's going to be. So those properties are just to track the modification of each object here in the playlist. So what I'm going to do is right now make the relationships. So this user ID is going to be a one-to-many relationship between the user and the playlist. The primary table is the column ID from the ASP.NET user, and the foreign key is going to be the created by user ID. This is just like that. Okay, hide this one. Cool. Click add. Sorry, I've set the length here to 50. It's going should be 40. So yeah, let's click this. Okay, this one became 50. Okay. Now another one. Okay, for modified by user ID. So click OK. Okay. So it is just like that. So this is cool. Now we have the playlist. We should create the video entity. Sorry, this one is the table. So it's should be plural, like playlist, ASP.NET users. This one is videos, because this is a table, it's not a class diagram. There is a big difference between a class diagram and ERD. So here again, the video will have the same properties, varchar 40, and we will have like title, varchar 255, and we have again description, varchar again. Okay, it's going to be 5,000. Publishing date, the date when publish this video, and going to be public, so make it date. Okay. Every date here is date time, but when I said date time, it's translating into integer. Okay, let's see stereotype. Okay. Okay, from here. Yeah, it's timestamp, called timestamp. Okay. While in SQL, it's called date time, but anyway, so those will be changed as well. So the publishing date, and we will have an enum, which is the privacy of the video, and this one is going to be an enum. So in this case, it will be integer. The enum will be translated in the database as an integer. The privacy is going to be like, is this video public or is it hidden? I mean, it's existing out there, it's in the system, but for a specific reason, you want to make it hidden and not public anymore, but you want to keep this video in your site. So this is going to be a privacy property. And again, those same fields are going to be exists. So we have creation date, timestamp. We have modification date, timestamp, and we will have created by user ID, timestamp like this, and modified by user ID, timestamp. Sorry, those one are in varchar. Oh my god. So just like that. Modified by user ID, yeah, varchar. So this is cool. Now, again, we should have those same relationships here. So I'll put that. Then I will choose one-to-many relationship, take it from here, and to create it by user ID. The main table is this one, and then just to choose created by user ID. Okay, and let's copy that, add another one. Let's make it modified by user ID. That's cool. So I'll have that for this one. Okay, and for this one as well. Okay. Come on. Okay, great. So this table is ready. Right now, there is a relationship between the video and the playlist. But the relationship here is not one-to-many. It's basically many-to-many. Why? Let's suppose that there is a playlist called Web Design, and there is a playlist called Blazor WebAssembly, for example. And there is a video that's basically, it is building a Blazor WebAssembly project. But so this video is for Blazor WebAssembly, and at the same time has like that video specifically has talking about design more than interacting with Blazor. So this video is going to be related to two playlists, the Web Design and the Blazor WebAssembly. This is the case why videos and playlists are going to be the relationship is going to be many-to-many. And in this case, we need a table in between to manage this. And this is what we have. I'll create a video, a new table. I'll call it playlist videos. So this table will allow the many-to-many operation. Put it here, just like that. And so this video, you can have the primary key as something different. Like it's not the ID. You can make the primary key the ID of the video and the ID of the playlist. So those together are primary keys. Let me explain this in the notepad a little bit. So let's suppose that we have video 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 videos, and we have 2 playlists. So this table is going to be like this. It will contain the playlist ID and the video ID. So just those 2 properties. So the first video, the first video related to the first playlist. So we can type here, the first playlist has here the first video. And the first playlist as well contains the video number 3. So it's here and the video number 3. While, for example, the video number 3 and number 2 related to the second playlist. So we can say the second playlist contains the video number 3, and the playlist number 2 contains the video number 2. So in this case, there's going to be more than one video, but there's cannot be like the one video exists in the same playlist multiple times. So this is the case why you can have both columns as primary keys in the table that to manage the many-to-many relationship between 2 entities. So you can do it like this. Just have 2 properties, video ID, playlist ID, and both are primary keys. And you can go with another approach, which is basically the one I usually go with, which is make this one has its own ID. And we can use this table for another, like, we can, for example, track when the admin added that video and when that video removed, for example, or modified from a playlist to another playlist. So we can have it as a separated entity instead of having 2 IDs, and those are the primary keys. So we'll go with the traditional approach, just like the one we go with. I've just explained that just to get an idea, because you will see that too much usually in the tables to manage the many-to-many relationship has one many-to-many relationship has 2 columns with, and both are primary keys. So cool. Now this one here has, let's say, it is the first name. Sorry, let's get lost a little bit. So here we have the video ID, which is varchar. We have shortcut is Alt-Shift-C. So we have as well the playlist ID, and again it's varchar 40, just like that. Here we can store dates and other stuff, like as I've said, but you can ignore this. Okay, delete. So let's have the relationship between those 2 tables. Okay, this one to this one here. Cool. And we'll have, okay, this one is a primary key. And we'll have as well this one to this one. It is playlist ID. Just like that. So this is the playlist video. Playlist has one-to-many relationship with playlist videos, and videos as well has one-to-many relationship with this one. So in this case, those together are many-to-many. So this is great. Now, those are the concepts. We still have only one thing that we should cover, which is the comments. how the comments are going to be stored. So you'll have a new table for that. I'll add it here, and then, okay. Go with that. Cool. I'll call this table comments. And within those comments, I will add, I want to add a column with the shortcut Alt-Shift-C. So, cool. So, ID varchar 50, and then we'll have title, or just content. We'll forget about the title, varchar, and it will has a comment date, timestamp, and we will have modification date if the user edited that comment stamp, and we will have the user ID, the user that posted this comment, var50 as well. Now, let's add likes, integer, number of likes. Okay, let's make it like that. This one here, we'll add, let's forget about dislikes, because sometimes not all the people prefer this concept of likes and dislikes. So just like or don't do anything. So just like this. Now, what about the replies? We're going to store them. Basically, what we will do is we will store the replies in the same table, and there is going to be a one-to-many relationship with the table itself. So the comment, there should be a parent comment, like if this one is a reply. So the reply, of course, is going to be related to a comment. So in this case, the reply is going to be a child comment, and the main comment will be the parent comment. So what I'm going to do is create a property, and it's going to be called parent comment ID, and this one is nullable when it has a value. So this one is a reply, and if this one is null, so it's a main comment. And this design helps you with something that you can have unlimited number of hierarchy, like comment, reply, reply for the reply, and reply for the reply of the reply until infinity. But of course, like it's a good approach just to specify the limit of the comments to 1 or 3 at most. So the parent comment ID is going to be varchar 50, and as I've said, let's make this one including primary key, and there's going to be a relationship between the ID and the parent comment ID. So ID, and here parent comment ID, apply, okay. So it's going to be just like that. Okay. Now, yeah, we forget something very important, which is the video ID, because each video will have the set of comments and the relationship is one-to-many. So let's add that property. It's called video ID, and varchar 40. Sometimes I added 40, sometimes I added 50, but okay, it's a video ID. Let's solve that later. So I will add that relationship here from the ID to the video ID. Okay, so this is cool. Have it like that. And then, okay, so this is great. Now, basically, those are all the concepts that we have to specify. We have here some errors, like this one should be timestamp. This one as well. And if we go to, like, let's say, yeah, here in the video we have some missing properties, like the thumbnail ID, the thumbnail URL of the video, the image that's going to be shown at the beginning. So let's make it URL. Let's just say thumb, and you'll have varchar. This is basically the URL of the image, and Or we'll have as well, we have the thumbnail. Yeah, we have the number of views, integer. We have the number of likes, integer as well. Let's forget about the dislike. And what we are going to add as well is, let's say, a set of tags. Like each video will has a set of tags, and this one will help the people to search about that let's say that video basically. So let's say that this video about Blazor, and it's building. Let's talk about the Planner app. So the Planner app has a set of tags like Blazor, dotNET, dotNET 5, client side, single page applications, web development, programming. So in this case, this video has a set of tags when the people can. This one will help will improve the video suggestions. When you open a video, like it will help you show some related videos. It's going to be, we can use the tag for this purpose. In addition to that, we can use the tags for searching. So you can search via topic when the user want to search and look for a specific video. So what I'm going to do is I will add the tags in a separated column. We can add them here as an mvarchar and put them in an array of, let's say, array of string and store them as JSON. But let's put them in a different table, and then we can do a course later on with Cosmos DB or MongoDB to talk about NoSQL, and then just have purely JSON database. So I'll call this one tags, and this table is going to be very simple. Let's have just ID and varchar 50. Okay, and name, just the name of the tag, and varchar as well. We have video ID and varchar. It's 40 this time. Okay, yeah, that's it. This is a very gentle table. So let me go here and just add this one to here. Okay, that's pretty simple. And I'll have video ID, apply, okay. Put that, okay, just like that. Okay, yeah, stop to move. Anyway, just like this. Okay, great. So for the time being, I think this is everything, and this is pretty much basically, there is a lot of things to cover, and this one will allow us to make a lot of logic behind this, from developing a suggestion system, improvement with a search, having comments and replies in a hierarchy that's somehow it's infinity. We have playlists and grouping. We still have only one thing, which is the category. So basically, you can put the category in a separated table and link them from category to videos. So you can manage the categories. You can add education, for example, this education, this one is programming, this one is a space. But what I'm going to do is just store them here as an integer, which is enum, because the concepts of learning is going to be the same for managing those from the programming side. I mean, for the thing that you're going to learn, it's just like having the playlist and just one-to-many relationship. So, and no magic in the logic behind that. So this is why I put category, and I'm going to make it integer. So it's going to be just basically a simple enum. So this is cool. Now we have a bunch of information. So you can extend it the way you want. And as I've said, there's going to be another 5 tables that are going to be created within the database coming from the ASP.NET Core identity. So right now, before we proceed to Visual Studio, let me check if we have any questions here or there. So okay, can we deploy Blazor WebAssembly except Azure static websites? Yeah, you can deploy Blazor WebAssembly whenever you want. And in this course, the deployment I'm going to use, I'm not going to go with Azure as well, so I'm going to keep you separated from the concept of cloud. There is another course to talk about this. The cloud I'm going to use it's very cool. It's called smarter-ASP.NET. It's fast, secure, and the good thing about this, it's pretty cheap. And something super about that no other hosting gives to you, which is 60 days for free trial without credit card. So you can just click customer login, create an account, and you get basically 60 days. You have one SQL database, and you have one MySQL database. So you can just publish your app just very simply by a few clicks. So this is the one that we are going to use. It's totally free, and you will go in this approach. So what else do we have? Is it recommended to save that date time as UTC? I think, yeah. Sam answered this question. Yeah, you have to store it in the UTC time zone, because all the users are existing from all over the globe, but the UTC is the standard time for all the users. Like when you measure your time zone, you don't measure like your time zone. For example, if you are in Germany, you don't measure your time zone for the United States. You measure your time zone from the UTC, or let's call it Greenwich, or the United time coordinate. So like you say that United States is -3 or -4. So in this case, it is the destination that we can compare with it from all over the globe. And this is why you should store always the data in the database as UTC. Only in one situation you cannot go with this, or like you can ignore this. Basically, it's not recommended, but you can do this. Like if you have an app that's going to work locally, it's going to be hosted, for example, in the office building, and the users are the employees themselves. So then when you are using the local time zone, it's the same. But I don't think this is our case, or not the case for all the modern apps, because everything modern is on the cloud, and the user want to access their content from all over the globe. So this is not something very important. What do we have as well? What about video URL? Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I totally forget about this, and then we should go ahead and update the database. Okay, thank you so much, Phil. So it is the video URL, which will be coming from YouTube. So the point, if you're not familiar with the embedding of YouTube, so what we can do, for example, this video here, you can click on share, and then you have embed. So this embed gives you an iframe. You can put it in a HTML page, and in this case, you can see this video. So what we are going to do is to store the link of the YouTube video and add that as an iframe. So if we go here for the desktop, for example, I will have this folder. Let's call it demo quickly. Open up the CMD. CMD, then code dot, which will open the Visual Studio Code in this page. So yeah, here I will click add index.html. Okay, cool. So here, if I type HTML5, here we have the document. I'll paste this here, save that, and then I will click open with live server, which is an extension that will allow you to. So here we go. This is the YouTube video embedded in our own website. This is how we are going to embed the videos within our application for the client-side part of Blazor. So that's great. That's great. Now, let's keep this app open. So maybe we'll use it later on. But for now, it's time to code. So let's see, use that time offset in the SQL instead of date time. Basically, I usually use date time. You can go with the date time offset when you are talking about very precise moment and having a lot of let's say, precision. You have also another type called datetime27 that gives you like a lot of points or decimals after the second, but I usually basically always prefer to use date time, and I just go with date time. And sometimes I just go with date when the time is not important for the user, or it's not the value that I'm care about. So this is great. Now we have talked about. Let's get back to the tools a little bit. I've talked about the visual paradigm. It's not necessary. You can draw the ARD on the paper if you want, or on Paint 3D, anything. One of the tools you need SQL Server. I have the SQL Express Edition installed on my machine. It's also free for use, but it has a specified size for the database of up to 10 gigabyte, but it's more than enough for our case. And you need Visual Studio. If you are following with Visual Studio for Mac, it's totally fine. You can go ahead with Visual Studio Code, but I'm not from big fans of Visual Studio Code because I can be much more productive here when I'm dealing with this full IDE. So let's click on Create a New Project and go ahead. So I'll scroll down. Here I have Blazor app. I'll select the Blazor app and click Next. First, I will start with the server-side part, but I will choose Blazor app. Then what I'm going to do, I will call it .NET Labs, like this. So the solution name is going to be .NET Labs. I'm going to leave this as it is, but this one, I'm going to call it .Blazor. So I will change the name of this one to keep it just .NET Labs, and the project name is going to be called .NET Labs.Blazor. I will click Create. Okay, great. So here we have Blazor Server app and Blazor WebAssembly app. Our case is going to be Blazor WebAssembly for sure, and make sure you have the latest version of Visual Studio and the .NET 5 SDK. So you have the amazing new features of Blazor that has been released in the .NET 5. So this is nice. Here we have no authentication change. Yeah, we'll leave it as it is. We will build the authentication system. We have a very important check here we have to do, which is ASP.NET Core hosted. We can create our Blazor WebAssembly app and then create the API as a separated application, so they are working totally isolated from each other, and we are going to host each one separately. But we can go with ASP.NET Core hosted. This means the ASP.NET Core API will serve the Blazor WebAssembly to the client, and in this case, we will go with it just for one thing, because when we will deploy the app, we can deploy it as one unit. We just deploy the server, and the client is going to be out there. So, and whenever you access the URL, you will retrieve the client application, and the API is also out there in one publish. So this is why I will check this one and make it available. So when I click Create, so here we go. This is the welcome page that comes from ASP. And here, by default, this application will create 3 apps for me. One will be called, sorry, I missed that. When you create ASP.NET hosted, it will add the suffix at the end of client.server. So we should remove this .Blazor from here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do right now. But so, sorry for that. So let's see what we have first by default. So this one is the Blazor WebAssembly application. This is the client. And this one is the ASP.NET Core API. It's available here, has a configuration to serve the client using this middleware here, use Blazor framework files and map Blazor pages. So those basically helps in serving the client app when you run the server only. And here we have just a shared app that you can share the classes between the two projects. So let's run the app first and make sure that everything is just working fine. And you can detect that from the weather forecast page, the famous one, that if it's served the weather forecast, the random data they add usually. So great. Now this is our Blazor app. It's running here. We have the traditional modern by default interface that have this counter, this home, and the fetch data. This fetch data is bringing the data from the API. If you go here, you have in the server project, you have controller, weather forecast, and it's returning that data from here. And if you go to the Blazor client here, you have pages, weather forecast, or fetch data called. So you can see that there is a code that making a call to the API and just fetches the data. So that's great. Now the app is just ready, so we can directly go ahead and start creating the app. The server is here, the client is here, but let's solve the issue of the naming first. So I'll keep this one, call it .blazor. Basically, it's the client, but I'll keep it Blazor because just to spot the light on a Blazor. Then for the server here, I'll just remove the Blazor. That, and we have the shirt. Okay, great. Now to restore the packages. Yeah, it's better to change the name from here. Okay, great. Okay, I will open up the manage NuGet packages here just to see what's going on with those packages. So we have this one, Spinner core components WebAssembly.server. So I'll try to uninstall it. Server install. I click decline. Okay. Okay, great. But what happened? If we check here this again, we need to call the .restore. Let me packages, open terminal. So yeah, this is a cool feature from Visual Studio, the latest version. You can just basically right-click and click Open Terminal, so the terminal is gonna PowerShell open. So I'll click on cd .NET Labs .blazor. Then I'll call .NET Restore to restore the packages. Project or solution file. Okay, let's open up this. And I think, yeah, this is the issues with the files hierarchy. Okay. So click on Manage NuGet Packages. For the Blazor app, so we have those three here. What I can do as well is open up this. I'll just remove them. They will be restored right now. Okay, everything is just fine. Close all tabs. This is great. So right now we have solved the issue of the names. Let's run the app again. Okay, so we got an error here. Let's see what we have. Share does not exist in the namespace. Okay. Oh, I made an error by renaming it directly from the files here. Of course, we have a set of the namespaces that should be updated. Okay, great. Now here as well, as you can see, I'll just remove the server. Okay, just like that. And from the shared as well, still have the imports. Okay, let's remove the client. Okay, yeah. This is also a feature in Visual Studio if you want to know about it, which is the multiple courses. You can click Shift Alt and the top or bottom arrow, so you have multiple courses. So you can just tap like this. It's very cool and productive one. Okay, Blazor.shared. Okay, great. So let's click rebuild again for the solution. Everything should be fine right now. I'll still get an error. Where is that? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Here. Again. Build, rebuild. Okay, great. Finally, we have renamed all the projects. I've started in the wrong way. I can use the find and replace. Let's close this. Okay, great. But you noted this horrible stuff. And yeah, this gives us a great opportunity to talk about .NET 5. Basically, right now, one of the cool features that has been added is the separation of the CSS files from and the component. So right now, you can have CSS file that basically scooped for a specific component. This means you can see this in the default template when you go to .NET Labs.Blazor, if you go to shared. So as you notice here, you can have the main layout.razor, and you have this little arrow existing here. So if you click, you will find, wow, there is another CSS file exists. And this CSS file is basically just the scoop for this component. And this is a great thing because right now there is no need to put all your CSS file in just one place here, and it's hard to maintain all of them while you just need for a specific component. And this is one of the powerful features that exists in all the JS frameworks like Angular and React, but it's not existing here. And right now in the .NET 5, it's available. So why we have seen that white page? This is if you go to www.root index page. If you have a look here, we have this line, which basically being used to bring that CSS styles that exist for each component and put them in one file. So basically, the name of this one is the namespace.styles.css. And right now, the namespace is called just .blazor. And this is basically the issue will be solved. So this is one of the things. Another thing, which is the performance. If you remember, if you have watched the Planner app, like it takes too much time to load online or even offline. While you can see this one just working very quickly, and the loading time is almost like a third from the previous one. So what we have here, found markup element with unexpected name. Wow, I have broke a lot of stuff. Okay. Yeah, nav menus here. So what is the problem? Shared. This is the nav menu. Okay, I don't know what happened with Visual Studio, but just click saved. So yeah, this is also another benefit for the live course, because this course is not scripted. I haven't prepared anything. I've just started to typing code in front of you. So you can see I will fall in a lot of errors and a lot of exceptions. So you'll see like, how we are going to debug this and discover the issues behind all that stuff. So right now we are working fine again. And we have the app up and running. So this is cool. Now I will close all the tabs and let's go to the database. So great. Now, we will go with the database with the repository pattern and unit of work. So this is why what I'm going to do is I will create a folder here first. I will call it server. And I will put everything related to the server here. So we will have the API, we will have the models class, we will have the repository project, then we will have the business services, and we will have as well the infrastructure project. And I would like to put all of them in a separated project, and all those related to the server. This is why I put them in this logical folder that basically not exists in the directory, like physical. So the type of the project is going to be class library. So let's start by creating the projects one by one first. I will call this one .NET labs .server .models. Okay, great. Let me get rid of this one. I don't like it. And let's make it .NET Standard 2.1 instead of 2.0. Create another project. Also class standard apps .server .infrastructure. Do the same. This one will contain just a set of options and attributes that we will use in the other layers, and then okay, .NET labs .repositories. Okay, cool. Now you can open the CS project and make it 2.0, or you can just right click and go to properties. Then you can change it from here. You can do the same here or on the Visual Studio for Mac. And the last project I will create will be called .NET labs server.services. Here the business services or the last layer will be exists. So this is great. Okay, nice. So now what we will have is there's going to be the entity framework and the models existing out there. Then we will have the repositories that will be based on the models, and those repositories that will have the implementation of entity framework. But you can change this for whatever you want, because the layer on top of that, which is the services, will talk on the interfaces for those repositories. So it is services not care about the implementation of those repositories, whether it's entity framework, it is the database, I don't know, maybe you are using something else, MongoDB, Cosmos DB, it's just fine, because the services just using interfaces, and the controller are just based on the services, also abstraction stuff. So in this case, you can change whatever you want anytime. Yeah, we will get deeper and deeper with this. So now I will go to models here, and I will manage dependencies, click on manage NuGet packages, and what I will add is the packages that are related to entity framework to start creating the classes. So here I will add Microsoft entity framework 4. So we have this one, accept, and we need .tools. Now, you know that there is the Microsoft, the DB context that we inherit from and add the DB sets too. But this time, we're not going to use the traditional DB context. We'll use the identity DB context, which contains or wraps the tables that are related to the security and provide services like user manager and role manager that allows you to basically just deal with the user and roles. So in this case, you need to install a library as well called Microsoft ASP.NET Core.Identity.Entity Framework Core. So again, I will put all those names in the description box at the end of this video. You can find all this stuff on GitHub. I'll create a repository and go ahead with that. So now let's create the models. So I'll create a new folder. Let's call it models. And here, I will start creating the first class, which are representations for what we have created here. So first, we have the user. Now, I will create a file called application user. Now, that user will have public, but as I've said in the ARD, like this user, it already exists from the identity library. What we need to do is just to extend this one. So to do so, we should inherit from a class called identity user. And click on this cool lamp here, you'll see that using Microsoft ASP.NET Core.Identity, and once I click on that, if I go to the implementation by clicking like F12, like you will see that the user is there, and those are the properties available: two-factor enabled, phone number confirmed, phone number, concurrency stamp, security stamp, password hash, email confirmed. I think I have covered like this stuff well in the first course of AKA Academy. You can watch it, like which is building a secure API with JWT and ASP.NET Core Identity. So you can find how it confirm email or reset password. I've mentioned all that stuff. But for now, we will deal with the roles that I didn't cover in that course. So now I have all that properties. What I need to do is just to add the two properties I want, which is the first name and another property called last name. And let's add some sections for that, or constraints. This one is going to be required. And add some string length, 25. Add this one here, the same. So yeah, this is our first class. That was pretty easy, right? Now let's close this. Let's click save. That's great. So now I'll create a class. Start with the first one, which is the playlist. So, okay, let's start with the playlist. On that one here, I'll add public. Then let's add this one, string ID. We have in. We have description. We have other properties like date time, creation date, date time, verification date. We have public, string, created by user ID. And we have string modified by user ID, just like that. So we have those properties basically. So this is great. Now we have this one. Let's add set of constraints. This one is the key. So we got like this. So this one right now is the primary key. And if we go to this one, you'll have like it's going to be required, and string length is going to be, let's make it 80 or 255. Yeah, that's like the title of the video. This one, I don't think description should be required. It should be 5,000. And here we have string created by user ID, modified by user ID. So those should be foreign keys for the user table. So we should add a navigation property for the user table. So I will add public virtual application user, and this one will be called created by user. And I'll have another one, public virtual application user, created or modified by user. So this is cool. Now this property will be mapped to be the foreign key of the application user table and this one as well. So what I'm gonna do, because I have two foreign keys for the same table, I will add a property called foreign key. Click Ctrl dot, so you get this helper use system component .annotation .schema. So you add it here, and okay, you are a foreign key for the navigation property that called created by user, just like that. Let's copy it, paste it here, and copy this and put that here. So in this case, we are done from the playlist. Now we still do the relationship, but from the other side. So I'll go to application user, click F12. Now let's add the relationships. Okay, public virtual list of a playlist. Created playlists, I will call it like that. So those are the list of the playlists created by this user, and they will be mapped to this one. And we will have, and click Ctrl D to have this one duplicated, modified playlists, and those are the playlists that will be modified by this user. So in this case, we have the relationship. We just need to define the relationship using the Fluent API from Entity Framework DB context when we are done from this. So let's continue the rest of the videos. Now, before I proceed and create this table, like as you can see, we have all those tables, like somehow they had the property ID and it's going to be initialized, and they have creation date, modification date, created by user ID. So what I will do is create, because the database here it's very small, so you can ignore this, but this is a good practice when you have a very big database. So you can create a basic class that has those properties repeated across many users. So what you do is you just create the base class. I will do this here, even if the table is very small, but the number of the tables. So I will call this one record. Public abstract. I like the abstract because we are not going to create any objects of this type, but from the derived types. So this one, what I can do is put this one here, just like that. And let me take this. I'll put it here. And I will take those and put them here. So this is great. In this case, I have saved 3 lines of code in each class, especially if your database is maybe 60 table or 70 tables. So you are saving like good amount of code, and that's good. Okay, so this is a good thing. Now I will have a constructor here, and I will add the ID equals to global unique identifier .new .toString. So whenever I create a new object, I'm not worrying about this value will be populated automatically by a new ID, and this is great. Now, what about this? Should I add them here to give them the datetime.utc now? Yeah, but if you go back to the ERD, you will see something that, okay, those videos, those playlists are related to a set of users. We have the modification and we have the creation date, modification date created by and modified by ID. And maybe when you are a real business app, you will face like a lot of tables like this that you are going to track those properties always. So, but some properties like this one, they don't have that stuff. They have only ID. Like that comments, for example, they have only ID and they have modification date, but this modification date is, let's say, it's not like this one. This just to track when this has been updated, so we can show the user like this one has been updated like 2 minutes ago. And we have these tags. We are not storing this information. We are not caring about the user code because basically those will be created by those videos. So what we do is let's create another class. I will call this one extract class, and this will be called user record. So this record is for a specific user. Maybe you can find your own naming convention for those, but then you can put this here, and this one will be inherit from record, just like that. So for the constructor, we can say creation date equals datetime.utc now, and for the modification date, you have datetime.utc now, just like that. So let me click here and move this one to another file. So this is great. Now in this case, I can remove those properties. As you can see, this file became shorter, and I can inherit from user record. So I have the ID, I have the creation date, I have the modification date, and they are all available. Another thing that we are going to take advantage of this approach is whenever we save this or we make any update for any of those objects available here, what we are going to do, we are not going to say, okay, modification date equals this one, creation date equals this one. No, what we will do is we will override the save changes async for the DB context, and we will say, okay, every record that has any change, like the name property or the description, anything changed, if it's a user record, okay, go ahead and set the modification date equals to now. So in this case, you are not worrying anymore about those properties or set the values for them. And you'll see this in the, I think in this video, maybe in the next one, but let's see. But in general, this is a very good approach. It saves you some time of code, and you take advantage of the power of inheritance to make some cool stuff. So let's close the playlist. It's done. Click save. We have the record here again. It's done. And we have this one. I will have a constructor here. For this constructor, I will say created playlist equals new. This one. If anytime I've added any playlist to here, I'm not worrying like this one, okay, it's going to throw the null reference object, okay, or something like this. Now let's create the video. And this one is also a user record. So create the properties quickly. You can use some code snippets, like you type prop, then double tap, and you have this one created for you. Title, prop, double tap, string description, prop, double tap, video URL, URL, tab, views. We have likes. What we have as well, privacy. This one should be an enum. I will create it. And we have those property created, thumb, views, likes, category. Okay, we have the publishing date, date time, publishing date, like that. And okay, great. Now for for the enum of the privacy, this one, I'm going to create the enum and the category within the shared. This one, I'll create a new file in the shared because those categories will be used also from the Blazor app and the client. So I'll put them in the shared project. I'll create a file called enum.cs. Remove this. I will add public enum video privacy. And here I will have basically 3 properties, like just like YouTube. Public equals 1. Unlisted equals 2. Private equals 3. This means available for everyone. And this one available only through the URL. Like, this one means like if I send you the URL, you can open up the video, but when you search for the video, you cannot find it. In the public page, it's not going to be shown, but when I send you the URL, you are able to open that, and the private cannot be seen. So in this case, I have this one. Now, there is a very important note I'm going to tell you about. The enum, by default, if you don't set the numbering, it's going to give you a default numbering like this one. So this one is 0, this one is 1, and this one is 2. Okay, this is great. But when you put this field as a property here, for example, this one will be mapped as an integer, and the value will be stored in the database is basically the number that you are setting here. If you don't set a number, it will take the default numbering, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's imagine a case when you put in the database the category 1. So everything the category 1 is, if you are using the default numbering procedure of the enum, is unlisted. Right now it's 2, but if you start from 0, so unlisted is going to be 1. And then you have 100 video unlisted. We have 50 video like public and this stuff. So when you read the object, the value is going to be 1, and it means unlisted. Okay, that's good. What's going to happen if you suddenly, there is no numbering, and you have added, for example, a new one, just the friends, for example, and you didn't put a number? So this one will be 0, public will be 1, and unlisted will be 2. And this will lead to a big mess in the database. All the values will be changed, and then you will be in a very bad case, basically, especially if the app is in production, and you're not going to think, or you're not going to tell the developer that you are working with that, hey, put the enum value at the end to the naming. So to stay safe from this, put your own numbering, and in this case, you're just safe from that. This is why I have added those numbers explicitly, and I didn't based on the default numbering case by the C# itself. Another enum we will have is enum category. And the categories will be, let's define them quickly, like education, sport. We will have a space, and we will have entertainment. I don't know if I tabbed it all. Entertainment. Okay, we'll get back to this. And we will have the last thing is music. So that's cool. Now we have those 2 enums that will be used through the system. Now let's get back to the video, and I will create public category of the video. Let's add a reference to the shared. So by default, Visual Studio will suggest you need to add a reference to the shared project. Okay. Okay, I've seen this bug before, just showing that and didn't stop. So I will click on dependencies, add a project, and I will choose shared. So basically it's here, then I will click. And yeah, because this one is .NET Standard 2. What is the shared project? Why is .NET 5? It should be .NET Standard. Supported platform include in browser. Okay, they are using, okay. So I will change this one to become just a .NET Standard library, just like any other project we have here. So take this, let's make it at, close that one, save. Okay, great. And now has been restored successfully, this one here. If I go to the video, click, now you can see the using, and you'll have the privacy. What else? We have the title, we have description, publish, privacy, creation, modification, created by, modified by, temp, views, like, category, and video URL. So we are done from this as well. That was pretty easy. We still have again to do the same stuff we have done in the playlist to make the relationship between the users and the videos. So I'll go to models, and I will go basically to playlist. I'll just copy that. I'll add them here. Oh yeah, sorry for that, but those, we can put them in the user record. Just like here. So when I put them here, this means we don't need them here anymore, and they are available for video as well. So the last step I should do is just to go to the application user, and I need just to copy those two and make them to video. Okay. Videos, and here I'll type modified videos as well. So I have the relationship set. Let's see some of the comments before we proceed with that. So we have a question, why cannot we use .NET 5 instead of .NET Standard? Yeah, this is a good question, but because .NET Standard, as you know, it's those are class libraries, and I am gonna reference this from Blazor, from the ASP.NET Core, and I want to reference them from another .NET Standard project. So in this case, it should be a .NET Standard to be able to use it in another .NET Standard class library, like the models, infrastructure, services, and repositories. This is why it's going to be a .NET Standard. I have switched that to this case because the default template created by Microsoft suppose that, okay, you are going to use the Blazor project, you are going to use the server project and the shared one. But in my case, I have about 5 projects here, so, and they are .NET Standard. This is why I've made that change. Now, okay, we got some. Okay, thank you so much, Maximo, for that nice feedback, and another one from Stefan. And for the tickets basket, yeah, it's going to be, I think the server side, as I've said at the beginning, it's going to be done during December. Now I'm putting more time for the videos. So I'm concentrated right now, again, on the channel. So I'm doing this series, and again, the tickets basket should be continued very soon. So I just wondering if you have any question related to what we have done until now, if everything is clear and there is no questions related. Meanwhile, let me put just those here. Okay, views and all this stuff, just like that. Those are required. So just let me know if there is any question related to the stuff, if everything is clear, related to the inheritance that I've done here, moving the parts. So in Blazor, is it better to use services.add DB context factory compared to DB context? Okay, basically, I don't think this is related to Blazor specifically. It's just general because the database is existing in the API, and this API is going to be used. Maybe you can use it from multiple clients like Blazor, UWB, Xamarin, or whatever. Personally, I haven't used the DB context factory before. I am always using DB context, and this is why I don't have the best recommendation for you whether to go with DB context or DB context factory, because I usually all my time go with DB context, add DB context only. Okay, so now let's complete with the other classes that we have. Start by the playlist video. Yeah, another feature that has been added to the Entity Framework 5 that was existing in the Entity Framework, the dotNET framework, not the Entity Framework core, which is the many-to-many relationship. Before I create the table, like here we have the models video and we have the playlist. If you want to make a many-to-many relationship, what you can do is just basically add a list of playlists here, and in the playlist, add a list of video, and by default, Entity Framework is going to create that table, the mapping table in between. But I not always would like to go with this, because I would like to have more control over the data that's going to be stored out there, because as I've said before, sometimes I add more properties to talk about the process of the mapping between this video and playlist, like storing the date and doing this stuff. While if you let the Visual Studio create it for you, or the Entity Framework, it's just going to add the two properties and make them as a primary key. So you have no control. You just have the data mapped, and that's it. So now, playlist video, public. This one, it's not a user record, it is just a record. So the ID is ready for us right now. And what we can do is just add the properties, which are the virtual video, and let's add the foreign key. We have public virtual playlist. We have string. Now I'm not going to use the foreign key attribute because I'm not in that case, which I have multiple foreign keys for the same table. Like it's just Entity Framework is genius enough to detect that, okay, the video ID is for this one, and the playlist ID using for this one, foreign key for this one, using dynamic conventions it follows. So it will detect basically this process. Now, after I added this, I should go to video and add a list. Of video playlist video, sorry. Call it play list videos. Copy the same class, and I will add it to this is the playlist. Okay, I will add it here. So this is great. Now, playlist has a list of playlist video, and video has also a list of playlist video. So in this case, we have this relationship, one-to-many, one-to-many, and this one is the table in the middle. So it's many-to-many relationship. And this is great. Now, if we have a look, we still have just those two small tables. Let's do them quickly and create the comment table. And comment is a record, public, string content. That content, we have this required here. And we have as well length, just 5,000. It's not going to be an article, basically. I think 5,000 is too much. And what else? I have a fish memory. So the date of the comment. Okay. Yeah, here we can do something like just a little modification, because the comment date is the same for the creation date, and the user ID, yeah, there is no modified user ID, and here's user ID that the comment will be created and edited only by Y user. But we can use the user record, those 4 properties, add them here, and it's going to be fine as well. It's not that big deal, instead of dealing this one separately. So let's do that by just adding user record. So sorry for that. So now we have that properties. So let's add integer likes. That's great. Those are the number of likes. Now we still have the relationship many-to-many between one-to-many between the table with itself. So I should create a virtual comment. I will call it parent comment. And here I will create string. Parent comment ID, just like that. So this is great. Now I will tell it that, okay, you are a foreign key, just in case. The name of parent comment. So now each comment has a parent comment, and the comment at the same time has a virtual of list comment called, I'll call them replies. Right? So this one should be one-to-many. We'll define the relationship in the Fluent page, and what we still have to do is just to link it with the video. And what I'm gonna do, virtual video, add here public string video ID. Okay, we can add it as a foreign key, and we can ignore it because nothing. Okay, let's add that. Okay, great. Now we can go to video, and let's copy that. It has a list of comments and comments. So this relationship is done. The last step is that small table, which is the tag table, not tag table, tag. So this one is just a record. It has only ID. And here it has two small properties, name is required. Okay, 80. And we have relationship with the video. And we have string, video ID, just like that. This is great. We can ignore this. Go to video. See that. Let's make this one tag. Tags. And wow, that's it. This is pretty simple and pretty easy. Now we have all the classes and all the files created here, as you can see from the application user, comment, playlist, playlist video, record, tag, user record, and video. So we have created this nice database. And now let's go ahead and create we have here. Okay, let me create the application DB context. Okay, so now I will create the application DB context here. Then I will inherit, but I'm not going to inherit from DB context. I'm going to inherit from identity DB context. And this means like we are going to use Microsoft ASP.NET Core identity.entity framework core. So add this one, and just like that. So this one will has the set of tables ready for us. And what we are gonna do is here it's a generic and it takes the type of the user, just in case you extended the application, the identity user that's already exists. And this is our case. We haven't extended that. We have added the application user. So I will say, okay, the identity user, you derive the class application user instead this type. Now we have everything ready. Let's create a constructor using CTOR. Double tap, we have the constructor ready. Let's add DB context options. For the application, DB context options. And let's just pass those options to the top. This option will be the constructor of the parent. And in this case, this option will be passed through dependency injection. Now let's create the tables here. Okay. And we have the tags here, and that's it. Now we have the tables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have this one already exists from here. So that's cool. We have those tables. Now we just have to map the relationships a little bit. If you if you go to models, as you can see, like in playlist, yeah, if you go to user record, so here, as you can see, you have application user, and in this case, like in the application user, there is one list and two lists mapped for the same table. So in this case, we should use the Fluent UI to make that mapping. And I missed something, which are the lists for the comment table. Okay. I would call them for created comments and modified comments. In this case, they will map to the same comment, but okay. Now, before I complete this one, we have 2 questions. Let's see. From Ricardo, we have, why not create the database and the scaffold it using entity framework? Also, why are those classes in separated projects and not in a folder inside the server project or in the shared project? Okay, regarding the first question, I'm not a big fan of creating the database, then create it, make a scaffold and create the database, the classes from that database. This is, I highly recommend this one only in one case. When you already have a project and the database is there, and what you need to do is doing some modernization for the app. So in this case, okay, don't create the database from scratch. It's already there. Just use the scaffolding and have the classes created for you. But in our case, when you are building a new app, no, you can't just directly go to classes. Number one, you are staying in the same environment. You are just creating classes. You don't need to go ahead and just create tables here and this stuff, then map to the classes here. And not always at the same time you get the relationships the way you want. Like here you have, I think you have more flexibility in terms of code. I'm not talking in terms of the database. In both cases, you have 100% access for all the features that the database engine provides for you. But this one is much faster, especially when you want to add something new. In this case, this one is a little tricky. Like you need to create the database here, and you need to go and rescaffold, like recreate the model again, update it from the database. While this one, you can just add the property, create migration, and that's it. So for new databases that are new apps, the database is not there, I highly recommend go with the classes. But if the database already is existing somewhere and you can do nothing about that, then okay, go ahead and create the classes from the database and use the database first approach. Now, what we want to do is just basically create the, I will override the function that's called onModel_creating. And from here, I'll be able to map the relationships. I can use the builder. So I'll say, okay, builder.entity like user, patient user like that. Okay, dot has many property called the created. Let's start with videos with one user called the created by user, and on delete dot no action, do nothing. So in this case, we handle our the delete operation by our code. When you delete a video or when you delete a user, okay, don't delete the videos and stop the process, like show an error that, hey, this user has already videos somewhere created. You can delete the videos, then delete the user, or what you can do is force delete the user, and we ourselves go delete the videos, then we delete the user. So this is a safe approach. Now let me copy this, and I'll say modified by user. Now this two relations has been defined. We still have these two as well. I'll copy this as it is, and I will change videos, replace videos with playlist. That. So those has been done as well. Let's now do the playlist videos. I think this already defined, just define the tricky ones. And we still have the ASP.NET users and comments as well. So copy and paste. So created comments, modified comments. So this is great. Now Entity Framework is aware of all the things, how things are going. If we go to the user, he will look like, okay, there is 2 lists, but this list will have the property that it's in the user record here, that has that user. And because maybe there is a user that created 2 playlists, but at the same time, he modified only 1 playlist for another user. So he has 2 lists of playlists, one for the created entity that he created and another one for the entity that he modified. So in this case, we have created the full database and we have done some very good stuff. Okay, the time passed very quickly, but I think it's a good idea to create the database before we end the session. So in this case, we passed a very good part. So let's go to the server now. I will add dependencies, add reference. I will add reference to the project that called .models. Click OK. This is great. Great. Now I'll go to app settings. So this is the one that exists here, and we have another one behind it called development.json. This one will be used when you are in the debug mode or when you are in the development machine, and this one will be used in the production, and we will use both files because in the production you will use the connection string of the real database, and in the production you will use the one for the local. So let's add that connection string, create the property called connection strings, object, I'll call it default connection. And for the production, I will leave it empty for now because it's empty anyway. Development. Here I will type server equals dot / SQL Express. This is the name of the server on my machine. Database equals .NET Labs DB. And I'm using the Windows Authentication Security, so I'll say integrated security equals true. Okay, save that. That's nice. Now let's go to startup. And here, what we can do, we need first to install some packages. Like Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQL Server. Okay. That's great. Now we have .tools, accept. So that's great. Now we have that ready. So let's call services.add_db_context. And it is application db_context. Control dot. So we have this menu. Okay, this one. Now let's add the options. And for the options, we will use SQL Server, just like that. Okay, use Entity Framework Core. This is great. Now we need to pass 2 properties. The first one is the connection string, and the second one is basically the assembly that will contain that will do the migration and apply the stuff. I will explain about this in a moment. So let's first pass the connection string, which exists in the configuration here. So I'll type configuration dot get connection string, and it's called default connection. As you see, we have 2, one for the production and another one for the development. And because we are in the development environment, it will use the one in the development. And here we have, if we check the overloads, here we will add the options, and we will say that the migration assembly is this assembly. Why this? Because the application DB context is existing in this assembly, in the models, but the migration should be applied in this one. So we should tell him that, okay, the migration assembly is .NET Labs.server. So I will add the options, or I will add SQL options. SQL options dot migration assembly, and you can add the name here, .NET labs .server. So this means that the current assembly is the one that will apply the migrations. So in this case, we have added the database. Now the last step is just to call the migration and apply the changes. And let's go to SQL Server and see the result. So now I will call the command .NET. Add migration. I will call it initialize database. Okay, we got an error and could not load file or assembly. Okay, sorry, I've mistyped the labs. So what I should do is it's labs, not labs. Okay, maybe because I'm a big fan for the Formula One sport, so my mind just thinks about labs in the racing, not labs in the lab science. Okay, great. Now we have that migration created. So this is the definition of all the tables. Now let's call the last command, which is update database, and see what we'll have. Great. Now the database has been created, and yeah, that's magical, like how it translated that. So let's click on refresh here, and we have .NET Labs. It's there. Wow, that's fantastic. Now, if we go to tables, here we go. We have those tables I've said about ASP.NET roles claims, role claims, roles, user claims, user logins, user roles, ASP.NET user. If you open up the columns, as you can see, you have all the defined tables. And in addition to that, we have two properties that we have defined called first name and last name. And this is something very great. We have comments, playlist videos, tags, and videos. So let's see the diagram, how it looks like. Okay, yes. And add the users, comments, playlist videos, tags, and videos. Let's see. This is great, just like the one we have planned to. Wow. But I know it's 5 tables, but it's an achievement anyway. So this is great. We have achieved a very big milestone. Like we have created the database. We have think about the project. We have defined the database, the models, the schema of the project. We have created all the required things that we need. And now we have everything ready. We still have, basically we haven't started with the API action, but it's not going to take that time. Maybe in the next video or in the next session, it's going to be a little bit longer. But as a beginning, this one is good. Right now, you should have a very good idea about how to create or to kick off your applications with ASP.NET Core and Blazor, how to start creating your API, your database, how to like have a little bit think about some cases like many-to-many, one-to-many, like using inheritance in some places to enhance your code a little bit and save some lines and some time. So this is great. Now in the next video, we'll start implementing the repository of the authentication full. And we will start with a playlist. I think playlist, yeah, and videos. The APIs, this stuff, it will take time from the client side, but from the server side, it's not going to be that hard. So this is what we are going to do in the next session, and it's going to be on Wednesday, I think, at the same time, but it's going to be extended a little bit so we can achieve more. I'll try my best to finish all the stuff. And regarding the code, the other thing that I have mentioned, it's going to be available in the description box of the video. And in addition to this, GitHub link for the repository will be available, I think, within minutes after this video. So if you have any question, please let me know before we terminate this session. I'm here open for any set of questions. Hey, thank you, Muhammad, for that cool comment. Okay, so looks like that everything's is fine. I hope you enjoyed that session like me, and I'll probably see you on Wednesday. And stay tuned for more videos about Tickets Basket that will be published very soon. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you on Wednesday.